guys, and welcome to another video of Shea Says. Today we're going to be talking about my internship with Live with Kelly. Disclaimer, this was in 2016 and I'm not giving away any information that is confidential or anything like that. Just talking about my experience as an intern and how the process was when I was an intern. I don't know what it's like now or anything like that. So just some background information. In like another life, I studied television production. Now I'm in the healthcare field, so totally different. But this internship was my first internship and it was the summer of 2016. So I'm gonna age myself. I was 21 and going into my senior year of college. This internship was like a dream come true to me. I grew up watching Regis and Kelly and it was definitely like a huge part of my childhood growing up. So I definitely, when I was looking for internships, that was like my #1 choice. So I applied and I had no TV experience at all. Besides that, my major was television production. My only experience was working at Rite Aid at the time. So when I applied, I got an interview, and to prepare for that I met with my advisor and she suggested to use my experience at Rite Aid and like different skills that I could transfer to this internship. So that's what I focused on, like things that I learned from working at Rite Aid and how it could apply to this internship. So this is how the interview process worked when I did it. So you got the interview. When I got in the line, it was so long and I was like, oh my god, how am I going to, like, there's so many people interviewing for this position. It turns out it was like everyone was interviewing for different things. So it wasn't just like Live with Kelly, it was like ABC7 News, 7 on Your Side, like things like that. So that made me feel a lot better because I'm like, oh my god, all these people are going to interview for this internship. Like, how am I going to get it? Also, side note, at the time that I was interviewing, the show was Live with Kelly and Michael. So that's what I was interviewing for. So the person that interviewed me was a producer on the show. And thank God, this guy was so nice and easy to talk to. And I think that's what really helped me because I felt comfortable with him. I definitely used what my advisor had said and played up like Rite Aid that this is the stuff I learned at Rite Aid and this is how I could use it in this internship. In the long run, that really helped me. And also just being a fan in general of the show, I think helped, and knowing like what it was about. So obviously I got the internship and I remember, I still remember to this day exactly when I found out, and I was crying on the phone. Like, I could not believe that I had gotten this internship. Later on my internship, I learned kind of more about the interview process that I didn't know about. Like, the producers and other people that worked on the show interviewed like a couple different people. So each person got like a few people that they interviewed and then they picked their favorite. And then they literally fought for you with Gelman. And if you don't know who Gelman is, he's the executive producer of the show. So they all fought for their favorite person that they interviewed in front of him. And then that's how you got picked. And that just blew my mind. I just assumed that this producer that interviewed me had no idea, like would never remember me. But they had to fight for you. So obviously they would remember who you were, but I just assumed this person would never know who I was. When I saw him for the first time after, like, during the internship, I was like, I don't know if you remember me, but you interviewed me. He's like, of course I remember you. And he told me that what impressed him the most was just me talking about Rite Aid. Shout out to Rite Aid and my advisor for giving me that advice because it really helped and obviously it made an impact. So it was me and then 3 other girls that ended up getting the internship for the summer. And they had all experience, like they had other internship experience. This was my first experience ever. Once I knew I had the internship, me and the other interns that summer, we visited the show. Like, we were able to see a show, and that's where, I'll show a picture. This is where this picture was from. So we got to be in the audience for a show, and then we got to like a tour of the place. We got to meet other people that work there. If you can tell, I'm a sentimental person and I keep all this kind of stuff that people just throw away. But this was the visitor badge for when we got to see the show be filmed before our internship started. Completely forgot to mention. So as I said, the show was Live with Kelly and Michael when I interviewed. And weeks before my internship was actually supposed to start, that's when Michael left the show and it was just Live with Kelly. But it actually ended up being even better because there was like new celebrity guests like every day. There was a new guest host. So I think in the long run it actually worked out a lot better for me because I got to see so many more celebrities. Okay, so this is a Snapchat that I took on my first day of my internship. I live in New Jersey and I would take the bus, and the internship I think was 2 days a week. So I would take an hour bus. So one day you were in the studio and the other day you were in the office. So the day that I was in the studio, I had to get there at 7:30 in the morning, and it was an hour bus ride. So I would get there pretty early just so I can relax and drink my coffee and like hang out before I had to go in. That was like my routine. And then I think on the day that you were in the office, you got there at like 8 maybe. So just like an overview of what the internship, like what I was actually doing at the internship. So some of the things I would do was like get the dressing rooms ready, bring the newspapers up to the office. I'd help producers with things such as like making fact sheets of like upcoming guests. We'd go on the internet and find articles that could be used during the host chat. And if you've seen the show, it's more of like funny news stories or like heartwarming news stories, things that they could discuss in the morning. That's like just some general stuff that we'd do. And then when we were in the studio, that was my favorite time. Sometimes we would hand out the tickets for the contests each day. So we'd hand out these tickets to the guests. This was actually, I think, from when me and the other interns saw the show before our internship started. So yeah, being in the studio was my favorite part. We would literally get to stand on the side and just watch the show, and then if anyone needed anything from us, we would do it and we'd be on hand to do it. But it was so much fun just watching the show being filmed. It's still like a surreal thing. That's just like a general idea of what the internship was like. This, not a good picture, but they took pictures of us, of the interns, to put on this bulletin board so everyone knew like what our name was and who we were. This picture's so bad, but I kept it. This was my picture, and then this was the little name tag above it. Ugh. It was also posted that I knew, I'm like, when am I ever gonna have a note that literally says, Shea, please unlock Gelman's closet. So of course I had to keep it because I'm like, when am I gonna have, like, it didn't feel real. Like, I'm never gonna, like, Gelman, of all people, who like is iconic, and I grew up knowing who he was. And then I just have some old stationery and envelopes from the show that they were getting rid of. This is my most prized possession. It's my Live with Kelly mug. So I bought this myself as a souvenir, and I never use it because I don't want to damage it or anything, because obviously it's not just Live with Kelly anymore. These pictures I took, I think I printed, like, I didn't find this photo, but I printed it out. So I took these photos of when the episode aired, and I was like, oh my god, like, I printed that photo and now Anderson Cooper is holding it up and talking about it. But I didn't find the photo. So now we're on to the juicy stuff. So all the celebrities that I either met or interacted with. Thank God I made this list after my internship, because to this day I would never like remember all these little things, but I made a whole list of people that I met on the show or had some kind of interaction with. So Anderson Cooper, obviously, love him. He would have been such a good co-host. And then I wrote, walked by when he was changing. Whoops. I think that was an accident. Okay, so I put stars next to anyone that I actually like talked to. So Mark Ballas has a star. Walked by, said, hey guys. Mark Consuelos, oh, love him. I'm so happy that he is now the co-host. That's adorable. Laura Linney, Joel McHale, he is a star. I steamed his shirt, and then I went into his dressing room and just like was holding the shirt awkwardly and waiting for someone to notice me so I can give this shirt. And he said, quote, are we pressed for time? Still can't get over it. James Corden, I wrote, walked right by me. I smiled, but we didn't make eye contact. Ryan Seacrest, walked right by me. Mark Ruffalo. I was in the hallway with him. I have a picture that he posted to his Instagram that I think I was in the background of initially, and like I was awkwardly like trying to get away, and I think they retook the photo, so I wasn't in it. But this is the photo that he posted that I was literally in the back. And then this is the person that was in the photo with Mark Ruffalo that I was showing him the powder room, and I waited awkwardly because he knew Mark Ruffalo and they were talking in the hallway, and I just was trying not to get involved. But it was Michael Franti and Spearhead. I think he was part of a musical act. Alec Baldwin. Walked by him, stood next to his wife and kid, probably during like the filming of the show. Some of these family members or like friends of the guest would stand near where like I was standing when I was in the studio. Dwayne Johnson. Aaron Tveit, I think that's how you say his name. This was before he was pretty big too. Walked by him when he got off the elevator. Plus cute. Jerry O'Connell. Oh, I love Jerry. I've met Jerry several times. This is a side note. Like I didn't even, like I saw him on the show, but my family met him when they were seeing the show. And then my mom and I went to a taping of the Jerry O show when he was taking over for Wendy Williams for a little while. Met him there. Then met him randomly when I was in the city and saw him getting on the subway, and I said, Jerry? And it was him. I got a photo with him, and then ended up being on The View. Crazy. So then this is what I wrote next to Jerry's name. Near him when danced with trivia dancer. Love him. Nene Leakes has a star next to her. Also steamed her pants. When I went to give her them back, she called me, quote, her little steamer. I still remember this stuff. Dwayne Wade was, I think he was a co-host one day. He's married to Gabrielle Union, who I stood next to. Eric Stonestreet, the band Magic. I have a star next to them because I got to see them perform, and I also had to show them their dressing room and stuff like that. That was when the song Rude was really popular. Guillermo Diaz, Queen Latifah, Laverne Cox, Adam Richman. I put Man versus Food Guy. Fred Savage, loved him. He was my next vote for co-host. He was so funny. Kristen Stewart, Kate McKinnon, Keegan-Michael Key. I put in parentheses, steamed his clothes. Next person has a star, Allison Janney. This is one of my like big stories from that internship, is that I had to show her to her dressing room, and we were in the elevator together, and I forced myself to talk because I was like, this is my one moment that I can talk to her. So I showed her to her dressing room, and I made small talk in the elevator, just asking like how was her stay? Is she staying in the city? And like, oh, that was like, I can't believe I was in the elevator with her. Tony Goldwyn, Seth Meyers, Taye Diggs, Idris Elba. I made a fact sheet for him for a producer. Alan Cumming, Alicia Vikander. I wrote, was in elevator with her. Really pretty. Matt Damon, Jay Courtney, Pentatonics. I talked with their people. Walked by me when they got off the elevator. Margot Robbie. Now this is my biggest story from this internship. Josh Gad. I wrote, walked by me, retrieved his wedding ring. Now this is like the biggest story that I always talk about when people like ask me about this internship. Okay, so the story, oh, so good. So I was a studio intern that day, and actually two of my friends were in the audience because I got them tickets, and Josh Gad was the co-host, and like right as the show was starting, he was talking with Kelly, and he said that he left his wedding ring in his dressing room. And then I think Kelly or someone said, oh, like an intern's going to go get it. Or I think it was him. I think he had said like, oh, some intern's like going to go get it. And me, I'm like, oh, the person in the office, like cool, they're gonna get the wedding ring. After the show goes on a commercial break, the production assistant turns to me and says, okay, here's the company credit card, here's where you need to go and retrieve this wedding ring. I was like, oh my god, it's me. I immediately left the studio because they wanted to get it before the show was over so they could like come back and bring him his ring. I get a cab for the first time, like alone. I get a cab. I tell them to take me to the hotel that he was staying at. I had like producers calling me and texting me, and I'm like, oh my god. Like it was so insane. I was texting my friends being like, I'm getting the ring. Like it's me. Like I'm the one who's getting the ring. So we get to the hotel. Thank God this cab driver was so nice. I asked him if he could wait for me because I would literally run in, get the ring, and then run back. Thank God he waited for me. I got the ring. It was in like an envelope. I took a picture of me in the cab and the envelope because I'm like, this is just insane. I make it back to the show in time. I have the ring. It was like, I was like a hero. And I was like, I swear to God, if they put me on TV, I'm like, no. I mean, yes and no. Like, I want to be on TV, but I'm also terrified. Near the end of the show, they have one of the production assistants pretend that they came back, like, running into the studio, being like, I have the ring. So he stole my thunder, but it's okay. It was still just such, like, oh, it was such a good moment. It was just insane. Like, that was one of the highlights of my internship, getting Josh Gad's ring from his hotel. Also, as I was going through old pictures, I have a picture from Instagram the day that Josh Gad was the co-host, and I didn't even realize I took pictures of these watermelons because one morning I was asked to go get watermelons for whatever they were doing in the host chat that day. So I took a picture of these watermelons and it ended up, I saw this picture of when Josh Gad was the co-host. This is the Instagram photo of the watermelon. And he wrote, "Thank you, Live Kelly, for bringing me on to co-host and for teaching me all about the joy of watermelons." I got those watermelons. Next person is Bryce Dallas Howard, walked by me. Miles Teller, I stood right next to him. I wrote, beautiful. Nicholas Shea, also in parentheses, beautiful. Jamie Dornan, 98 degrees, walked, and I put, and talked, question mark, to them. And the star, Kelly Ripa, and I wrote, of course. So I also got a photo with her, which I will show. Like, I had no idea that we were going to be able to get a photo with her. I was in the office, and then I get a phone call saying like, oh, come down and take your photo with Kelly. I was like, oh my god. So here's my photo with Kelly. I was scared out of my mind, but I was so excited. So I met Kelly. That's also another thing that people always ask is like, is she nice? Like, what's she like? And I always tell them that she's so nice, and that during the commercial breaks, she will talk to the audience and take pictures with them. And like, I never saw her be mean or anything like that. So she's so nice. Some more photos. I mentioned that my mom and brother were also saw the show one time, and they met Jerry O'Connell in, like, he came outside in the line of people waiting to get in the show, and he met everyone, and my mom and brother met him before the show even started. So these are just like screenshots. So I think when they went, Margot Robbie was a guest, and I think Pentatonics also was the guest that day. So when the show aired, I took pictures because you could literally see my brother and Margot Robbie like right there. So these are just a few photos from that. And these are just photos from my internship because we were in the same building as like ABC7. Like, I got to see, I would see Sam Champion doing the weather on the street, like right outside the building, and I was like, this is insane. I definitely saw a few like ABC7 people that I grew up watching like in this building. So this is just like an ABC7 picture I got. This was a billboard of Allison Janney's new movie, and that's why she was on the show. So when I saw that billboard, I'm like, I met her, I was in the elevator with her. So that is it for this video. I still like cannot to this day believe that I interned at Live with Kelly, and I had the best experience there, and it was just so amazing to spend my summer in the city interning at one of my favorite shows. So it was literally a dream come true. and it is just, it's one of my greatest experiences in life. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye!